Look, me, I saw what happened in 2020, but when I realized it, it was too late. I couldn't do anything, especially in the central region.
I see.
When I realized that this is the game they are playing, most of the constituencies in what kind one vote in a way. So it's something I made.
Press record. Stop it.
Constituency chairman, NDC. Malik Basinkali, National Communication Officer, NDC.
About his recording.
Duncan Amun Kopek, Royal Mohammed Amin, President Bungaland Association. Bridge Burachi, Bridge Burachi, Monkey, Queen Mother, traditional area. Lawyer Nashiru, Chairman, Bunta Land Youth Association, Greater Accra. You are most welcome to Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Appointment Committee. Honorable members, based on the same nomination imperative and letter from the security services, we may now proceed to swear.
You said you have a letter from the security service. It is very important to understand and appreciate what you said about the nominee, whether it's being clear or not. Some of you report that it's very important.
I thought copies of this letter have been given because the same letter that has the name of Honorable Dr. Kisel Tupa Fosun has the name of Honorable John Abdullah Benako and Honorable Dominica Dinga Aiden. Can you proceed and get a look at the copy?
So we don't have those copies, but we don't have the
committee. Have we distributed this week? Very well, very well.
Chairman, we're okay. Once you're okay with it, it's fine.
Proceed with the swearing. Thank you very much.
Una audio.
Honorable John Abdullah Jinapong,
Because una audio no touch.
you are most welcome. We shall proceed with the vetting, taking questions from the subject matter committee members from the minority side. So if I have Honorable John Dago, you may have your turn. The floor is yours. And do you know what the deadline is?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, when we were leaving office, the debt stock consolidated was close to 2 billion. Fortunately, I have a document, summary of energy sector debts and lenders. In August 31st, 2017, the ESLA PLC got a full audit of the entire energy sector debts. And Mr. Chairman, I refer to page 17 of the document. The total energy sector liability at the time was 9.4 billion cedis. They themselves used an exchange rate of 4.4. If you use this exchange rate of 4.4, the debt had then moved from about 2 billion to 2.1 billion. So let me put on record that as at this time when the debt was validated, the debt was 2.1 billion. Mr. Chairman, with the greatest of respect, I'm happy this question has come up because I've heard some people bundling figures of $5 billion. That is inaccurate. This public record is before Parliament and can be verified. Currently, I had the opportunity to chair the Energy Subcommittee of the transition team. At the last meeting, it came to light that the debt had ballooned to 2.5 billion as of 30th September 2024. Yesterday, we had a final meeting, and the reconciled figures, as I had it, was $3 billion. And so, as we speak today, the official figure I got from the Ministry of Energy, the Energy Commission, and ECG indicates that the debt has ballooned to 3 billion. But let me quickly add that the Energy Sector Levies Act raked in about 45 billion cedis. And so that paid part of the interest on the principal of 9.4 billion. But then it comes to that.
Mr. Chairman, sometimes he uses dollars and cedis. Can you be very consistent so that when you say 9, we know you are talking about either $9 billion or cedis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like I said, when we're leaving office, as at 31st August 2017, the debt in dollars was 2.1 billion. As at yesterday, the outstanding debt is a little over $3 billion. Thank you.
Any further questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I would like to know from the Honorable nominee what he considers to be the implications for signing PPAs, and whether at the time he was at the Ministry of Energy, they signed PPAs, which happens to be a take or pay, and whether the Honorable nominee is aware that these agreements, which were signed under his regime, is the reason why the debt for the energy sector has ballooned to this level.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is true that some PPAs were signed during our time. It has some take-or-pay clauses. Even under the MPP, they've signed about 6 PPAs, all of them with take-or-pay clauses. AXA 370, AXA 370, AXA 900, Senate 110, Tema LNG, which is the most expensive LNG, all of them under the MPP regime, just like the NDC regime has take-or-pay. And take-or-pay in the energy language is what we call capital recovery. The developer would have borrowed money to set up the plant. And so every financial institution would require some element of guarantee. And so that is a fact, it's not an opinion. 2, as to whether these take-or-pays contributed to these debts, I've done a careful analysis of the debt. If you take the gas debt, for instance, our contractual volume with ENI is 270 MMscf. For 4 years now, they've been supplying 340 MMscf. So we are consuming way and above our contractual volumes. So take or pay couldn't have been an issue. If you take most of the debts, a chunk of them are power delivered, sold, but revenues not collected. When we're leaving office, what you call the ATC&C, that's the aggregate technical collection and commercial loss, was 22%. At the transition committee, it came to light that it's ballooned to 40%. And so out of every 100 CD you sell, 40 CD is unaccounted for. And that is largely due, or that's what largely accounts for this huge debt. In fact, I'm leaving Accra today as part of the technical team to meet Letasco. Letasco supplied heavy fuel oil between 2017 to 2021. All that money has not been paid. And so there's a debt of 270 million on account of some of these fuels and guarantees. If you consume fuel, it means that it's not take or pay. It means the plant is running. So yes, some element of capacity charge will contribute to your debt, but the chunk and the bulk of the debt is on account of power produced and consumed, but not paid for. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you spoke about ENI. Would you say that the negotiated price at the time of negotiation...
Is that your last question?
Last but one, Mr. Chairman.
No, you are entitled to only 3 questions. You've asked 2 so far, so that is the last question. Please.
But you will allow me to bring some small one after this one.
You are entitled to 3 questions. Please go ahead and ask your last question.
So my question was whether you believe that the negotiated price at the time was good for the country. And before you answer that, I also want you to have a look at your CV. On your CV, you say that you were the general manager of a company. Well, it's all over the place. I mean, it's not numbered. What I have is not numbered, but it's on his professional resume, non-political experience. The general manager of Sophie Fisheries Limited. And I don't know whether it's a mistake, because you say that you were from 2005 to 2000. And so if you can have a look at that and see if you intended to actually tell us that was a typo. And then the same on the CV, when you look at the leadership position held and membership of professional bodies, you say you were chairman, Nuclear Energy Program, implementing organizations at the Ministry of Energy until 2017. So I want to know whether you want to confirm to the committee that at 2017, when Anadu was the president, you were the chairman of this committee. So those are the...
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I left office on the 6th of January 2017.
Okay.
So 2017, I would have been in office, except that I left on the 6th of January 2017. The other one is 2008. So I guess when they were typing the 8, they made that 0. So thank you very much for that observation. I'm grateful. I guess your question is on whether the ENI price is not too expensive.
Yes, in your view.
Okay, I have in my hand what you call the weighted average cost of gas, which we in the industry call WACOG. And I have the latest of them. If you take the price, which is the cost, so you have what you call the commodity cost, the transportation, and everything, which then becomes commingled gas and is piped. But then you can get the individual prices. So if you take ENI, which is Sankofa, you have the cost to be 6, 10 to be 5, and gas is 7.2. And gas is 7.2. Tema LNG, which was signed by the MPP, is 8.3. So I am of the view Ghana Gas is 0 because Jubilee was 0 rated for a period of time. So I am of the view that the Sankofa price of 6 is not the most expensive. That is one. 2 is that you just don't look at the price of a field. Is it associated gas? Is it mainly crude oil production or mainly gas? If it's mainly gas, then the gas has to compensate for the cost of the development. And if you read the 2022-2023 reports by the upstream players, they confirm that in 2022 alone, we consumed 107 BCF of gas from our fields. If you did not consume that gas, you'd have consumed 20 million barrels of light crude oil. If you do what we call import substitution or parity, this country saved $1.2 billion from consuming that gas. So I hold the view that you might have an opinion that the gas is expensive. Another one might have an opinion that it's not expensive. But if you are saving 1.2 billion from import substitution from light crude when using gas, I hold the view that that gas is competitive. It came before this House. This House debated it and approved it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. It's now the turn of Dr. Kabiru Wale.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I would just, before I start, congratulate my senior brother and alumni of University for Development Studies for such an achievement. That said, I would also want to seek the guidance of the chair as to whether you stated that the decision to have a private sector participation wasn't what was good for ECG. However, you are of the candid and considered opinion that the interference by politicians and the fact that we need to weed off political interference was the way to go. Fast forward on the 17th, on or around the 17th of the 7th of January, you were heard again on radio stating that you think that the only way forward was to have private sector participation, especially in the metering and collection sector of Ghana Electricity Company. Now, my question to you is, and you back this particular position with the fact that ATC and C, which you just alluded for, and for the benefit of Hansard, we are talking of aggregate technical, commercial, and collection losses, was 40%. Could you please give this committee the breakdown of these 40% losses in terms of A, T, C, and C in the various sectors of that particular aggregate figure?
I'll do that. Mr. Chairman, first of all, I'm surprised that this allegation has been leveled against me because I've remained consistent that there should be a private sector participant in the distribution, especially, like you said, billing and collection. When I was Deputy Minister, I led the process. When Honorable Setekwe became my supervising minister, He made me lead the process of privatization. I led the team to India, I led the team to Uganda, I led the team to Kenya to learn from best practices. And so I'm surprised. And let me put on record that I've been very consistent that we need private sector participation at the distribution level, except that I disagreed with the format of the PDS, and I maintain that we can do it better. The ATC&C, I think it's about 23% for the technical, and the remaining is the commercial, which sums it up to the 40%. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
Mr.
you said you
Speaker.
have a follow-up.
Yes, a
question.
follow-up.
Okay, go ahead.
During transition, you were handed over with a KPMG report of the audit of the operations of ECG. And that report puts the figure at 37.7%. And if the committee will be guided, it is the product of the billing efficiency and the collection efficiency. Can you confirm that to the committee?
I was not handed over a KPMG report, but 37 and 40, the difference is not that much. But I wasn't handed over a KPMG report. I asked a direct question as co-chair to ECG, and they told me that the losses was around 40%. But if you have a KPMG report, I would like to read it to enrich my knowledge. Thank you.
Honorable Minority Leader has a follow-up question on that.
Honorable nominee, listening to your answer to Dr. Kabiru's question, the impression you create on our minds is that you are not against the privatization of ECG. From what you said, you are against the PDS in terms of the approach. So can you tell us then whether your government is for the privatization, the full privatization of ECG?
We believe that there should
Honorable
be...
nominee. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. We believe there should be private sector participation. What we intend to do is to form a 7-member committee chaired by technical experts, legal experts, financial experts, and some industry players, and even somebody from the consumer side. What we want them to do is to get us a framework, looking at best practices. Would the concession approach work or a full privatization work? We will stay off as politicians, let them get the framework in a more transparent, open, frank manner. Then when we get the buy-in of Ghanaians, then we can set the standards using an RFQ, an RFP, and then a competitive tender process. Let me make this clear. We are not going to do sole sourcing when it comes to the ECG private sector participation. Competitive tender process with some element of private sector participation using local content, and then we set the KPIs so we make progress. And so we are clear in our minds what we intend to do. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you too. He has a further follow-up question.
Honorable nominee, so can you let us know the time frame for this engagement? Because Ghanaians will be anxious to know. What's the time frame you are looking at?
The preliminary work we have done is that my target is to push for 6 months, but I do not want to stampede the committee if I'm fortunate to get your approval. But give and take within this year, we should be able to do that, because there are lessons that we've learned from the previous concession. And so that will be the building block. But like I said, we want to do that in a very transparent, open manner, and get the best for this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We now take a question from Honorable Asika Dongo.
Mr. Speaker, I've not... Okay.
Any questions? It's now the turn of Honorable Asika Dongo.
Thank you very much, Chairman. First, I want to congratulate my younger brother and to commend him for the speed with which he supported the president to resolve this issue. I have heard you mention some numbers. You said the bill we left was about $2.1 billion. and you translated that to about 9 billion Ghana cedis. But you said today it's about 3 billion. Can you situate that in our reporting currency? What does that mean? $3 billion means what in cedis?
Mr. Chairman, when you use an exchange rate of, say, 15, that's 45 billion. So in Ghana cedi, we've moved from about 9 billion to 45 billion. It would have been worse. What is even kept it at the 45 billion is that another 45 billion has been collected on account of the Energy Sector Levies Act. So, but for the 45 billion that has accrued to the President Akufo-Addo government, the debt would have compounded, and that would have been much, much higher. But despite that, the debt today is about 45 billion Ghana cedi.
So in addition to the 45 billion cedis,
you are entitled to a question. I'm sorry. May I give the floor to Roxanne Nelson Dapamapo?
Chairman, thank you very much. Let me use the opportunity to congratulate my brother. We entered Parliament together. We worked together. And we constituted the famous 7. And I know that he will deliver. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Give the floor to Ajin Sam. One question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and congratulations, JJ. I come from a rural area. Till date, there are communities that do not have meters. And therefore, I want to find out from you, what will you do to improve ECG revenue collection? And will you support a proposal to phase out all postpaid meters to prepaid ones?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the ideal way, like you said, is to get prepayment meters, especially smart meters that can mimic all the requirements that you need. My meeting with ECG indicates that they have about 5.2 million meters. 4.8 are active. About 3 million of them are not working properly. So of the 4.8, 3 million meters are not working properly. So they will need to change a minimum of 2.9 million meters in order to satisfy the market. 2, like you said, people want meters. They are unable to get the meters. Technology is advancing. So we are exploring the possibility of selling the meters. Let people buy the meters, but through smart technology, we will license some people to install the meters, but you'll need to send a code. Once you send a code in with mobile money, it's activated, and automatically you are registered onto the system. Because sometimes it costs people more than 4 or 5 times to spend money to get a meter. So if we make it readily available and use economies of scale, I'm sure the price will come down. So it's something we are working on, and we intend to roll that out as soon as we get your nod. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's now the turn of Honorable Agnes Namumulate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Let me take the opportunity to also congratulate the Honorable Member on his nomination. There's something that is on the hearts and minds of most Ghanaians. And if we all have a way, we'll contribute to ensuring that it doesn't become a headache again. The issue of the inconsistency in the power supply, given the nod, what are you going to do? I have seen you do take some pragmatic steps to aid the president. In the long term, what will you do to ensure that our power and our electricity supply stays on? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Honorable nominee. what will you do to ensure our power stay on?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we have a current installed capacity of about 5,260 megawatts, a dependable capacity of about 4,800 megawatts. We've just hit a new peak demand of 4,100 megawatts. Our grid system is very, very resilient. We've upgraded a lot of our lines from 161 to 330 and 331 kVA lines. So they are quite robust with a lot of injection of primary substations. The first problem we need to address is the issue of fuel. Fuel supply is a major, major problem confronting the sector. Currently, if you take the gas from ENI, gas from Jubilee 10, and then gas from NGAS, and you put all together, you still have a deficit. And you've had to be depending on some level of light crude oil, some level of heavy fuel oil, and some level of distillate fuel oil. Our immediate objective will be to bridge that gap. We've met Jubilee partners, we've spoken to the partners and the operators, Talo. We've also spoken to Ghana Gas. They are currently doing 100 SCF. We are confident that if they do some reconditioning, they can increase it to about 35 more. And that will give us a lot of buffer. So once we solve the fuel situation and we have some liquid fuel reserves as a backup, we should be okay. The next one will be to deal with the financial challenges. I've gotten a letter from Car Power. We owe them $377 million. They are threatening to shut down. Talo over 100 million, they are threatening to cut back. ENI is threatening. So we need to deal with the financial challenge. So these two, if we can get them right, we should be home and dry. Last year alone, Ministry of Finance spent about 28 billion on energy sector related payments. That's more than your capital expenditure, including even your goods and services. So we have to look at how to drill down and bring about efficiency and be able to pay for what we consume. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Minority Leader, have a follow-up question.
Chairman, thank you so much. Honorable nominee, though on the letter was Minister of Energy, but if you look at the executive instrument, it's adding something to your portfolio. You are aware of that?
Leader, with the greatest respect, I've seen it, but I'm only a nominee.
No, I'm saying whether you are aware.
I'm aware.
We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it later. Let me go ahead with my follow-up question. So, on the 7th of January, 2025, I am reliably informed that on the said date, the light crude oil Ascent Power was for a period of 23 days. Do you agree to that?
Yes, Leader.
Very well. If it was for 23 days, as you agree, then are you equally aware that GMPC, which has a contract with Stratcon for the supply of 12 million liters of HFO, is still supplying this to AXA? You are aware?
I've checked on that, and GMPC has indicated that they don't have a contract with Stratcon to supply those liters. Thank you.
But do they take such supplies if they don't have such contract? Is there an arrangement where these supplies are delivered to them?
I've done my checks, and I can tell you that based on my check, there's no such arrangement.
Now, would you be surprised to hear that on the 6th of January, it's a follow-up on the 6th of January, they supplied 19,561 tons.
I will not be surprised, and that's one of the issues I intend to investigate when you approve me.
Okay.
It's a subject matter for investigation.
All right.
Thank you.
So have you become aware?
Leader, you know the rules. A follow-up question must not exceed a certain limit.
Yeah,
So I think if you wouldn't mind, I can give you the floor now to ask your questions.
Chairman, you see, the nominee, in response to Honorable Momo Latte's question, had made certain pronouncements. I only was breaking it down because I didn't want to put all together. I know I have to act within the rules. So please indulge me, most respectfully, sir. Indulge me. I only wanted to break it down, else I could have put all together as a composite question. I didn't want to do that because there are specific deliveries on certain dates. So please, bear with me. Since you are aware that on the 6th of January, 19,561 tons worth of HFO was supplied. But your issue is that there was no contract, so it will be investigated. But that was supplied.
No, I didn't say that, Mr. Chairman. I didn't say that.
Okay, no problem. Now, on the 8th, would you be surprised to hear that on the 8th January, to 44,124 was also supplied?
Mr. Chairman, with the greatest of respect, I need your guidance. Leader, I respect you. The leader is asking me whether I will be surprised to hear that fuel has been delivered. I thought he would have asked me a question.
Okay, no problem. Let me put it differently. Have you become aware that on the 8th of January, 44,124 tons were supplied?
Mr. Chairman, to answer this, on the 8th of January, this is official record, and I would respectfully make a copy available to the committee. And so the HFO issue you are talking of, on the 8th of January, Sen Power, light crude oil, 260,000, enough to cater for 23 days. Sinon Asogli, DFO, which is distillate fuel oil, 0. KTPP, distillate fuel oil, enough to cater for 1.5 days. Now the HFO. On the 8th of January, AXA, 440 meter cube, enough to cover for only 6 hours. So officially, I wasn't aware that some so-called 40,000 has been deposited. But let me be quick to say that the next day, I got to know that...
I don't want to take back. Please, can you avoid the use of the word so-called? I mean, just not to
I'm sorry,
cause
Leader,
controversy.
I'm sorry. Thank you for the guidance.
You know, you've done well so far.
Leader, thank you. So on the 9th of January, I got information that some people were discharging some heavy fuel oil into the tanks at AXA. And already the Chief of Staff had tasked me to lead a technical team to avoid this looming challenge in respect of these shortages of fuel. And like I told you, on the 8th of January, we had only 6 hours. In fact, they said that taking even the minimum requirement, it could last for only 5 hours. When I heard of it, I inquired. And then the AXA MD told me that some people had come to deliver HFO. I asked him on whose authority. Leader, with the greatest of respect, I do not want to mention people's name here, and you know why. I made it clear to them that those people were no longer in office, and they had no mandate on the 9th of January to issue orders to him to receive those fuels. I called ECG. ECG was not aware. I called VRA. They were not aware. I called the ministry. Solomon is here. They are not aware. I called GMPC. They are not aware. So I advised the chief director to ask for a cessation of the delivery, and we report to chief of staff. It's a matter of further investigation. On an assumption of office, with your kind leave, we shall investigate that matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So they delivered it or they couldn't deliver at all? Are we in receipt of that at the time you became aware?
As far as I'm concerned, officially, government is not in receipt of any such delivery. They were in the process of delivering, but without any authorization to deliver, we thought that they should hold on and let's do what is right and proper. Thank you.
So the 5 hours that you put out, as compared to the 23 days that you initially... No, I won't ask.
Okay. Leader, take the floor, take the floor.
So the 5 days that was originally out, you know, when the inauguration took place at the Independence Square, the media reported that you had alleged or you had said that we had only some 5 days of fuel. 5 hours, yes, 5 hours. Considering the fact that in your answer to me, you had indicated that SemPower had fuel that could last us for 23 days. Would you want to reconcile the 5 hours and the 23 days, or would you want to shed some more light on it for clarity's sake?
Mr. Chairman, there's nothing to reconcile. I was specific. I said we have 5 hours of HFO, and it's true. We had 5 hours of HFO. I said we had 0 hours of DFO for Sidona Sogli, and it's true. I gave a breakdown, but I don't develop the headlines. I don't write the stories. The recording is there, and the truth is that we have 5 hours of HFO. And if there's any problem with gas supplies, we are going to lose as much as 370 megawatts in 5 hours' time, which will lead to load shedding. And so as far as I'm concerned, that is the fact. Thank you.
Honorable Shabu, it's now your turn. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, let me use the opportunity to congratulate my younger brother for this great feat, a position well deserved. Mr. Chairman, listening to the honorable nominee, the biggest challenge he's coming to face. Of course, let me put on record that the ministry you left 8 years ago, you will not meet the same thing when you get there tomorrow. You have said it. The energy sector debts alone is so enormous. Now, we've zeroed down to various. Now, in the value chain, you have a very critical player there, which is ECG, which unfortunately is the weakest link. And that's the reason why we have these challenges. To quote your own words, the power is produced and delivered. It is sold, but the revenue is not collected as efficiently as we can. Clearly, it boils down to accountability and efficiency. Now, you have also zeroed down to the fact that you are not averse to privatization. Indeed, His Excellency, when he met the World Bank a week ago, representatives, he made it clear that privatization was the way to go. Would you consider, taking into account, we have been preaching about local content, would you consider looking at institutional investors like SNET, like NAT, and the rest? Would you consider them when you want to do the privatization?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, that would be the most ideal. If we could get institutions in Ghana taking up shares and getting a technical competent company, even from outside, it means that there will be a lot of value retention. The main problem with ECG is not just the collection, but even how they spend or administer what they collect. They collect on average about 1.3 billion cedis every month. Only 850 million or 900 million goes into the cash waterfall mechanism. So what it means is that almost 400 million does not find its way into the cash waterfall mechanism because they've signed all kinds of contracts. Yesterday at the meeting, it came to light that they have 2,500 containers sitting at the ports. Contracts worth 9 billion has been signed. And because the containers are sitting at the port, demurrage alone is 1.2 billion. So beyond the collection, we also have to drill down on efficiency and ensure that they stick to the cash waterfall mechanism. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I give the floor to Honorable Umar?
Thank you, Chairman. Nominee, I want to use this opportunity to congratulate you, and I wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you. It's the turn of Michael Edu. Edu. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Edu and Edu.
Mr. Chairman, the name is Edu. Thank you very much. A-I-D-O-O.
What's the spelling of Edu?
A-D-U. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead with your question.
Thank you. Honorable nominee, congratulations. Looking at your CV with your experience and vast background in the energy sector, I believe you'll be conversant with the questions I'm going to ask. One of the major challenges...
Are you saying questions?
Yes.
Please, you are entitled to a question.
Okay. One of the major challenges in the downstream petroleum sector is the issue of forex. And on the 11th of January 2023, you published a post on Facebook, which you said that the G4O, that's the Good for Oil policy, was opaque, clandestine, and a charade. And then you also said that it's going to promote smuggling of gold across Ghana's borders. And then in the same post, you said from our analysis, it is obvious this policy is not well thought through. Now, Mr. Nominee, I believe after your nomination, you've had cause to meet the management from BOST and MP and other stakeholders in the industry. Upon hindsight, do you still hold the same opinion? And then if you are given the nod to lead the ministry, what will be your position on the Good for Oil? Taking into consideration that most of the importers who are bringing fuel to Ghana, one of the issues they look at is the issue
Honorable member, his position on gold for oil. Is that not the question?
I'm not done, Chairman. I'm not done. Chairman, I'm rounding up. Chairman, respectfully, I'm rounding up.
Is that the question I'm asking?
No,
I'm
not done.
Question?
The question is coming.
So, what do you mean by what is your position on gold for oil?
It's the same question, so let me round up. Thank you, Chairman.
Well, I will forgive you because you are a first-timer.
So, considering that most of the importers consider the issue of forex as an issue when dealing with BOST, and the Good for Oil came to mitigate that issue, and there is scarcity of forex. And in a month, we need about 400 million USD to import petroleum products. So what would be your position on the Good for Oil policy? And how are you going to fix the issue of forex for importers and BDCs?
Honorable nominee.
Thank you very much.
Honorable nominee, I believe the question is, what is your position on gold for oil? You can ignore the commentaries and proceed to answer the question.
Mr. Chairman, I refer to 28th November 2023 publication. Bank of Ghana to phase out gold for oil policy. Bank of Ghana governor announces. And so I think that they are rather vindicating my position that it was not well thought out. If it was that good and it was solving the problem, you don't phase out a policy that is delivering results. What we would do, we would review it, we would analyze it, and ensure that we come out with a model that is fit for purpose, that ensures that we account for the good. Honorable Atufos has already indicated that we want to form a gold board, which will aggregate all the gold. We have an escrow account where the forex or the hard currency would move into, so that we'll use that to support fuel imports, but also support the payment of IPPs and the payment of gas. So we are looking at a holistic, well-encompassing approach rather than a narrow approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's now the turn of Honorable Ayariga.
Congratulations, Dr. John Jinapor. Not many people know you are a doctor. You have a PhD now. Congratulations. So, some people envy your CV. Some people envy your CV, but it's a very rich CV. I had the opportunity to work with you during the transition exercise. You actually, on my behalf, led the Energy and Natural Resources subcommittee. And during that process, I became totally convinced and satisfied that you are not just a walking encyclopedia on all information relating to the energy sector, but that your capacity to think on your feet and devise solutions to the numerous challenges.
Please, Chair, let them know that they are not here to be clapping. If they then they shouldn't be clapping.
So
Chairman, they shouldn't be doing that.
So all you need to do is to inform them that